Luke Fickle. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find
What is up,
and
everybody?
follow
Welcome back
Civic
to a brand new
Media on
episode of the Todd
Facebook,
Allbaugh Show,
X,
live on
and
Tuesday,
Instagram.
November 26th.
Sunshine finally breaks
He's on
through,
fire today.
alongside a feisty west wind slapping a wind chill on
If
hot
you're
cold
watching
temperatures.
the replay of the stream, about a minute and a half till the show begins, or you can sit around and wait, and maybe we say something funny before then, maybe we don't. It's a mystery to everybody.
It's where Todd checks his shirt, his attire, his nostrils.
Where Aaron does none of those things. Gonna have Luke Mathers on for some Tuesday tangents.
Yes.
As we so often, I guess not always, as we always try to do. Sometimes he gets bumped by, like Mark Cuban or something.
Occasionally.
Is backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. You won't find a better Black Friday deal or a higher quality mattress anywhere else for less.
Midnight and the kitties were screaming. Oh, those beautiful kitties, all alone in the dark. Bad Broadway tunes by Todd.
What is the rest of that lyric? Midnight and what? The kitties are sleeping.
Yes, exactly.
It's a video somebody took of the TV. It sounds terrible. Anyway,
I
30
still
seconds.
like it.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Ross Emerson on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board. It is now 6 minutes past the hour of 12 noon on this Tuesday, November 26, 2024. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite here in our main studios, world headquarters of Civic Media, downtown Madison atop State Street, a block off the Capitol Square. Sunny skies. Beautiful day right now. A little chilly. Walked up to Wonder State Coffee here on the square. Remember Wonder State Coffee, one of the few solar-powered roasteries in the world. We've been there in beautiful Viroqua, Wisconsin. If you're ever in Madison, if you live here, get on downtown right on the square. Wonder Cup Coffee in your cup. Great meals as well.
I was going to say, they also have really good food.
Really good food. Some great bakery. Yeah. So you got Wonder State in the Cup. We're ready to go. It's a beautiful day here. A lot of people, Mr. Zommers, on the road traveling already for the Thanksgiving Day holiday. The TSA telling folks that this is going to be the busiest air travel week of the year, exceeding some of the summer travel. Millions of folks flocking to airports. Best to, again, leave extra time, pack your patience, as they say, and take a breath. And also have a drink. I'm not sure. Do that after you get to the airport, if you need it. But yeah, it's going to be busy, and just be aware of that. So, but the good news is, at least for people in Wisconsin flying out of Wisconsin or traveling, it looks like fantastic all in all travel weather. Maybe a flurry, a quick snow shower tomorrow, Wednesday, maybe even on Thanksgiving Day, but nothing is going to really mess up travel all that bad.
You should still be prepared. In addition to packing your patience, make sure you have attire for different weather conditions.
That's a good tip, because after Thanksgiving, the bottom is just going to drop out of the temperatures, and we're expecting highs below freezing during the day for the first time in quite some time. So highs only in the 20s once we reach Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I will be packing my clothes. I've gotten word, because I'm going to the big Axe game. Badgers taking on Minnesota on Friday, on Black Friday at Camp Randall Stadium. Remember, the broadcast time for the pregame show, 9 a.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network, or select stations thereof if you live in Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, Racine, Kenosha, or Richland Center. you can listen to the game over the air. Here's the great thing. If you don't live in one of those communities, you can still listen to the game for free. Just download the Civic Media app on your Apple or Android device. Scroll down to one of those great stations like WRCE in Richland Center. Click on that. You can listen to the game for free. 9 a.m. broadcast time for the pregame show, kickoff at Camp Randall at 11 o'clock. I believe, and let me check this out for sure, I believe the forecasted high is something like 27 degrees or 26 degrees on Friday. Let's check this out. For Friday, yes. Oh, no. This drop. The forecast high for the day on Friday, 24. Starting off at 17 with a balmy high of 24 and windy conditions. The feels like will be worse. I'm excited to go to the game only because I get to hang out with my great friend Rob Wheat.
Maybe you're going to have to take a note from Trigby and get a heated coat.
You're right. I may have to do. I do have from my LL Bean days. I have some great outerwear. So I'm not.
I bet you do.
You know what they say at LL Bean is it's never bad weather. It's just bad outerwear. It all depends on what you're wearing. Don't blame the weather. Blame yourself if you don't dress properly.
Got to layer up.
Exactly, layer up. So I'm excited to go to the game, and I just moments before the show came on the air, Rob said, well, are you going to be in Richland Center on Friday? Are you coming in hot from Richland Center on Friday morning? Or are you going to be in Madison on Thursday night? Well, I'm going to be in Richland Center at Mom's with the family for Thanksgiving. I had planned on staying over and getting up early. I thought, well, as long as I'm down here by 9:30, I'll be fine. Well, no, Rob informs me, and there's a big Richland Center Mafia tailgate that occurs before each Badger game. The RC Mafia tailgate is going to begin at 8 a.m.
Ooh.
8 a.m. You understand?
So you got to get out there early.
Well, I'm going to have to come back to Madison on Thursday night now.
Right. Otherwise, you're just going to get blocked off by the Mafia.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's no chance I'm going to make it on time. But we're going to be out there from 8 until like 10:30 in 20-degree weather with wind, and then go into the game. And again, I'm very excited for this, but I'm going to have to dress warm because I can't start drinking a beverage I'll have my Wonder State coffee at 8 a.m.
There you go.
I'm not going to be slamming spotted cows.
Well, maybe PBR instead. I don't know.
At 8 a.m. Or I may have to take something else to warm me up. But anyway, that's the situation that Todd finds himself in on Black Friday. So I will not be shopping. I'm just going to go to the game and looking forward to it. Again, the Badgers take on Minnesota, a must win for Bucky. They are at 5-6 on the year. They must get that 6th win in all likelihood to get to a bowl game to extend that 22-year winning streak of going to bowl games. The PJ Flexters come to town, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, on Friday against our Wisconsin Badgers. A lot of trepidation, Mr. Zommers, but we shall see.
They're going to give it their best.
That's why I'm particularly watching the weather. But again, the good news is no major storms forecast for any parts of Wisconsin. So there you go. That's as far as the weather and our sports update goes on Friday. Coming up today at the bottom of the hour, just thereafter, the talented Luke Mathers is going to be on the show with his Tuesday Tangents with Lukester. Going to talk a little bit about Shabuzi. Did Vice President Kamala Harris get shaboozied? We'll explain.
I'm so confused.
We'll talk. We'll explain. I now thought about this before, but I read this article earlier today, and I'm like, well, that gives me something to think about. So we'll talk. Shabuzi, great artist, by the way, and a great name. So talk about that coming up after the bottom of the hour. We'll talk a little sports with Lukester, find out what's on his mind in terms of the Packers, the Badgers, and the Bucks, and whatever. That's the lovely part about Tuesday is it's just whatever comes to Luke's mind and whatever we get into it, and take your phone calls as always as well. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, and much more as we work our way through a Tuesday. Tomorrow, Trigby Olson going to be on the program for Pertner the entire 2 hours as we kind of break down. We talked about this last week, and we're going to be looking at some data that he has done, that others have done, in terms of not just the election that we're now 3 weeks past, can't believe it, but also how and why and should we talk to, as we move into this holiday season, how we kind of maneuver this, being in small rooms with beverages with people we don't always agree with. And this will give you some pointers on that. That's coming up tomorrow. And I believe Pat Kreitlow will be in with his annual Thanksgiving recipe. So,
Is that so?
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Do we know anything about this recipe?
I know that's a surprise. He is the Martha Stewart of the Wisconsin Northwoods, Pat Kreitlow.
Let's see. Here's what I'm wondering: is if it's going to be a recipe for food or a beverage, like a special holiday old fashioned.
Well, that Pat, he's a man of many talents. He's a Renaissance man, Pat Kreitlow.
One could say that, and they would be correct.
We will find out tomorrow. All right, let's get into some headlines for the day, and this is a tricky one. All right, it's a little nuanced. So stick with me. Donald Trump announcing, President-elect Donald Trump, got to make sure we get that in there, announcing overnight, that he intends to impose a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada, and an additional 10% tariff, make it 35%, on Chinese goods, effective his first day in office. Put it out on Truth Social last night, Trump's social media platform. I'm not going to read every word of this, but this is Trump's own words on Truth Social last night. Give you a little taste. Quote, as everyone is aware, thousands of people are pouring through Mexico and Canada, bringing crime and drugs at levels never seen before. Right now, a caravan coming from Mexico, composed of thousands of people, seems to be unstoppable in its quest to come through our current open border. On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all, in capitals, all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long, simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use all their power, and until such time as they do, it's time for them to pay very big prices. And then it goes on to say that kind of the same stuff about China, and he's going to stick it to China and this and that. We're going to break this down throughout the show today a little bit, but there's a couple of different things going on. First of all, though, how about an 85%, here's a fact, I should say, 85% of avocados. People enjoy avocado toast. They like to go to Mexican restaurants. Give me some guac, a side of guac. How many of us order a side of guac? Well, 85%. By the way, avocados are what make guacamole. Guacamole doesn't grow on trees. It's avocados. And then avocados are made into guacamole, just in case people don't know that. 85% of avocados in the United States come from Mexico. Get ready to pay a whole lot more for your avocados and thus your guacamole. The same goes for tomatoes, berries, limes, mangoes, corn, beans, beef, shrimp, tuna, tortillas, and many, many more items. I mean, we've kind of gotten accustomed, right? People go in January for their New Year's Eve celebrations, or late December, January, thinking, well, I want some raspberries or I want strawberries. Turns out in January, not many places in the United States grow raspberries. Wait a minute, Mexico does. Going to pay a whole lot more for those fresh fruit type of items. So, again, the narrative that, oh my gosh, Donald Trump is going to lower prices. I believe I'm quoting Gypsy here. Mama Rose. Hold your hats and hallelujahs. Mama's gonna give it to you. Hold your hats and hallelujahs. Because if these tariffs actually get put in place, and my guess is to at least some degree they will, get ready. Prices are going up in a new Trump administration. What else is he doing? Is he messing around with the stock market? We'll explain. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
And great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Matt Nair on air.
Jimmy Kuska said that Wisconsin's official state speed trap is in Rosendale.
Do you get like a souvenir sticker?
A T-shirt. I got pulled over in Rosendale, and all I got was this lousy
merch,
ticket.
It can't be official.
If there's no merch, it's not a thing. Troy from Mount Horeb.
There is merch. The original convenience store in Rosendale has a shirt that says Rosendale. That's the ticket.
Now I think we're going to have to do a road trip to Rosendale just to get merch.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays at 11 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. The John and Gordy Show.
Look who's here. It's Mike McCabe. Look at the patterns of history, because it's important to realize that this has been cyclical and that we have seen the loss of sort of a we society and the emergence of a me society. And how could that be better manifested than having a certifiable narcissist in the White House? We've gone through these periods before. Light has been found at the end of the tunnel.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your favorite show or game, listen to a podcast of it anytime on the app or...
Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, 21 past the hour, 12 noon. Zombers, what do you dial us there?
Money, Money, Money by ABBA.
By ABBA. Little ABBA. Can't go wrong with little ABBA. Money indeed. Talking about the fact that Trumpster over the week, or overnight rather, on his Truth social media platform announced a 25% immediate tariff on all goods from Canada and Mexico, and an additional 10% to make it 35% on all goods from China, starting on day one of the Trump administration.
And just to think about this, so if he's putting tariffs on things and he's lowering prices, how, I just don't get it. How do you lower prices by making things more expensive
Well, you don't.
for one side or the
Right.
other?
You don't. That's the point, is that, and it's funny you mentioned that. As Matt Flynn likes to say, remind us, you're not woke unless you know history. You're not woke unless and until you know history. So let's look back on history. President Hoover, Herbert Hoover, whole different Hoover. Herbert Hoover, President Herbert Hoover signed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, I like the name of that, Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930, thinking that it would fix the Depression. Many foreign products had tariffs slapped on them, and the result? It failed spectacularly and made the Depression even worse. Then it took a Democrat. Franklin Delano Roosevelt had to come in and fix that Republican mess. So we've gone down the road of widespread tariffs before. And again, think about where things that we buy come from. I have a 2016 Dodge Ram truck. Good American truck, Dodge Ram truck. Assembled in Mexico. How about your kitchen appliances, microwaves? How many of them were actually assembled and made in the United States? And again, remember that tariffs are not paid for by the country exporting them. They pass that along to the consumer. That's you and I. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Jack listening in Merrimack. Jack, always a pleasure. What say you?
Well, first thing I want to say is this is going to be a real waker upper for people that like the iPhone and they like the Macintosh, the Mac Pro, and all of those wonderful products that we get from, guess where? China.
Right.
Oh yes. So the products are going to be 25%? Did he say more expensive? Boy, that's going to be something.
Yeah.
They're not cheap anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I wanted to say about this idiot is that this was the guy that when he was originally elected, the first time around, claimed he was going to clean the swamp and came up with some crazy excuses as to why he couldn't do it. But the bottom line is he's not only not cleaning the swamp, he's putting the alligators back into his cabinet positions. I mean, between the donations that they gave him to get cabinet positions and the clear and obvious conflicts of interest, and the fact that none of these guys, and this is something I just recently noticed, none of them, including him, of course, are going to get rid of their holdings that are in conflict.
Right.
And of course, we never did see his income taxes, so we don't really know what he has in conflict. I mean, anybody that voted for this guy, I think they're going to have a little bit of a rude awakening. I'm hoping we're going to have some very serious buyer's remorse. And hopefully we'll have a real election in 2 years and kick these crazies out.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. You bring up a great point I want to make quickly before we get more into the stock market stuff. And that is, I am not in the camp of folks who say, well, this is all the voters' fault, that people knowingly put this guy in there. Because, again, I've been very reflective over the last 3 weeks post-election, digesting a lot of data and information. And I have come to a greater belief. I knew this tangentially going into the election, but it's really made an impact on me post-election. There are a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who honestly are not aware of the facts and the truth. Why? Because legacy media, meaning the network news, the Washington Times, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, CNN, MSNBC, what you might call legacy media, a lot of people just are not listening, watching, or reading that stuff anymore. They're watching podcasts and streams, or perhaps only Fox News. And so that is their truth. That is their reality. And you can say, well, it's incumbent upon them to watch more stuff, listen to more stuff. Okay, we can say that. But it doesn't make it any less real in their world. So I think Jack is right in that I think as we progress through Trump 2.0, he is going to do things and there's going to be ramifications in people's everyday lives where they say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know this. And it's going to be an honest take. And it's going to be unfortunate. These tariffs go through whenever avocados, tomatoes, limes, the prices go through the roof. Well, how did this happen? I want to get to this. I have to do it with Luke when we come back. In 2020, former President Donald Trump warned that the historic stock market boom on his watch would implode if voters replaced him with Biden. He tweeted, quote, if you want your 401ks and stocks to disintegrate and disappear, vote for the radical left, do-nothing Democrats, and corrupt Joe Biden, unquote. That was his tweet. It was an ominous warning. But in reality, with Biden in the White House, the U.S. stock market only preserved those Trump-era gains and then went on and generated even more massive ones. talk a little bit about it with Luke Mathers on the other side. Tuesday Tangents with Lukester is right around the corner. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media. Ready now.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
On this cold Tuesday, we're going to want to keep an eye on South America as they have recently signed multiple deals with China to make it easier for them to export their grain there. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and John Heinberg, a market advisor with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend, is here to explain what those deals entail and why we should be watching them.
They put a lot of money into a port in Peru, which is going to be on the Pacific coast side there in terms of South America. So it gives a little bit more direct access, cheaper shipment. A rail system's getting put together that brings products out of Brazil through that into that port in Peru. There was just an article out by Bloomberg yesterday of the investment they're putting into a major port in Mexico as well to expand that port as another possible shipping outlet point. So we just got to continue to watch the trend that's happening there. And unfortunately, like I said, it may put a little U.S. producers on the island a little bit more. So domestic demand is going to be really a key, I think, going forward if those projects continue to build.
Heinberg says that these deals may be consequence of the possible tariffs that the Trump administration is going to lay on them. From the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at those midday markets.
It's hot
right
for the
after
show.
this.
They estimate that somewhere around 500,000
up.
people will head to the woods for Wisconsin deer hunting season,
And
and I hope
then,
every one of them is
after
snacking
the
on
show, I sit
something
at my
from
desk and I
Bavaria
freeze.
sausage.
Because the cold air coming down.
Well, I think the last few days, the climate control has just been off.
BavariaSausage.com is ready to provide you
Gotcha.
with snacks that have
I don't know
I
who
don't
keeps
know.
turning it off.
What are we talking about?
Talk a little bit about Trump's supposed tariffs, why he might be doing it to screw up the stock market, blame Biden a little bit. And then we'll talk about Shabuzi.
Okay. I always find it funny when people start hearing music that I've been listening to for like 6 months after me.
I've talked about Shabuzi how long ago on this show?
Yes, Todd's been listening to Shabuzi for a while.
I didn't just discover
Todd didn't
Shabuzi.
just discover Shabuzi. He found an article with some news about
19
Shabuzi.
weeks on the chart. And he got screwed out of CMA New Artist of the Year.
Who got it?
I don't know. Some Megan Maroney chick. I don't know. Travesty.
I don't know country music.
It's a
well enough to
travesty.
Be able to
It's a
comment
travesty.
on that.
December wheat contracts are up 1.5 at 5.37 1/4. And July wheat contracts are also up 1.5 at 5.74. The milk market's looking better today as December contracts are up 26 cents at 18.67 a hundredweight, and January Class 3 milk contracts are up 12 cents at 18.43 a hundredweight. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
The sunshine finally breaks through, alongside a feisty west wind slapping a wind chill on top of cold temperatures. Highs today struggle to get above the freezing mark, and tomorrow hit the upper 30s. All ahead of cold air sliding in for Friday and the entire weekend. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 30.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
Harbor Freight knows
It wouldn't.
little people
I know,
like
but
to
when
keep
you're
busy.
such a
But
Renaissance
with our
guy,
Black
it wouldn't.
Friday
Oh, I
sale
got you.
coming
Okay,
up
yeah.
Thanksgiving weekend.
I mean, I can play the xylophone. Like I know where all the keys are, but I've never got the hand-eye coordination down for.
Takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Do you play piano?
I had to learn some for college, but
I could play like
not well.
I know how to play the intro for "In the End" by Linkin Park. And that's
Dun
about
dun
it.
dun 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 da da da. All right, we have about 15 seconds.
I know.
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 34 now, past the hour of 12 noon. If it's Tuesday, it's Luke Mathers and Tuesday Tangents with Lukester. Welcoming him back in. Luke, it's a sunny day. It's a cool day.
Yeah.
Are you traveling the highways and byways for Thanksgiving this
Yeah,
year?
I'll be hitting the road this year.
Really?
So,
How
yeah.
far?
Not too bad. Just going to Milwaukee area and then trying to figure out some of the other Friday, Saturday logistics. We like to pick up our tree on Black Friday, so we'll go cut down a tree on Friday. Try to figure out
Just any tree or?
Yeah, just a maple tree. No, there's a Christmas tree farm that we like to we've been going to since we've got the house, so it's not too far off in Rio, Wisconsin.
Beautiful Rio.
Yeah, so we'll head up county back roads for that and head to the family in the Milwaukee area. So I'll be traversing I-94 a little bit. What about yourself?
Well, be careful. First of all, I was listening to Jay, Matt, and Greg Bach on Matt and Air on Air this morning. And apparently now they've put in new speed bumps in certain places in Milwaukee, and there's no signage. So you're just going along and bada bing, bada boom.
I'll have to keep an eye out.
I'm just passing on the information for people going to Milwaukee.
There you go. Okay.
Also, the
just
matter,
all over, just sporadically.
You're
You're
driving.
the podcast.
You're just driving along somewhere in Milwaukee, and all of a sudden your muffler's going.
Are you sure Jane and Greg weren't just hitting things accidentally? These were registered as speed bumps?
This is
right.
real news and great conversation.
Okay. All right.
There are actual
that's
new
what we do
speed.
around here.
There are new speed bumps in the Milwaukee area. I don't remember exactly what streets they were talking about.
Todd's like, I've got half a story for you. Here
Right,
it is.
like,
Run with
pretty
it.
much. You go for it. I can tell you. Make sure
you do with this information as you will.
Make sure you stop behind the white line and stop signs at Madison.
There you go. Yeah, that's an important one.
That's what I can report to you.
Did you just get ticketed?
Not ticketed, a warning.
Oh, okay. Look at you go.
I talked about it on yesterday's show. Thanks for listening.
How'd you get out of the ticket? I'm a little busy some days, Todd. How'd you get out of the ticket?
I did. I just was kind, and I said, I said,
you're
well,
batting your eyes at the officer?
No,
they were training a new officer, and it appeared as though they were sitting there waiting for somebody to stop over the line so that they could be like, hey, new guy, is that a violation? No, it's not.
They were sitting perpendicular to the intersection, and
you committed a crime in front of them? Todd, how foolish of a driver
stopped,
are you?
I stopped and looked left, and I looked right. I saw him sitting to my left. I went around. I stopped. I went around the corner. I had my blinker on, and I pulled over to go to the grocery store down here at Camp City Market, and they suddenly have cherries and berries behind me, and I'm like, "Are you want me?" And they were very nice about it. And as it turned, they came back and quoted the young.
You were a learning experience.
The young
That's what
new
it was.
officer quoted the Wisconsin state statute that said a legal stop is one which stops behind the white line. And apparently, a portion of my bumper was over the white line when I came to a stop. Thus, legally, not a full stop.
Look at those
those
big old pickup trucks getting you in trouble.
Oh, for God's sake.
The title of yesterday's podcast is The One Where Todd Violates Wisconsin State Statute 346.46.
There you go.
Anyway, enough about traffic. So over the weekend, talking last half hour, or over the weekend, overnight, Trump announcing on Truth Social that he intends, at least that's what he's saying, that on day one, 20% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. The Jim Neighbors records, by the way, are going to cost a boatload. Anyway, and then another additional 10% on China. And we talked a little bit about that, but here's another perspective. I started talking about this before the break. In 2020, Donald Trump, at the time president, said if Biden was elected, the historic gains in the stock market would be for naught, was going to go to crap. But in reality, with Biden in the White House, the U.S. stock market not only preserved those Trump-era gains, but generated even more massive ones for millions of Americans, 401k plans, nest eggs, and college savings plans. The S&P 500, the gold standard market index of 500 U.S. stocks, has posted a compound annual growth rate of 14.1% from Biden's November 20th election through Tuesday's closing bell. Taking a look at the current numbers, the Dow is down slightly. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are both up right now in the stock market. I ask you, Luke Mathers, is this kind of Trump narcissism kicking in, thinking, well, I want to say something, whether I mean it or not, whether I'm going to do it or not, on these tariffs to somehow worry the stock market, drive the numbers down so that it makes Trump look better coming into office?
I don't think that there's that much thought
You don't think so?
behind those tweets or what truths or whatever you want to call them these days down in Mar-a-Lago. I don't, honestly. I'm a little tired of the Donald Trump's playing four-dimensional chess critiques, honestly. The man is not a disciplined messenger. He's just not. He's not 6 steps ahead. I think that there are trends around the entire world that since 2021, incumbents have fared very poorly. And I believe Harris, with the short campaign that she was able to run between July and November, was the victim of that disadvantage to incumbents around the world, where people internationally, both here in Wisconsin, across the United States, and around the world, are upset with the status quo. There are some folks that are making out like bandits, and the stock market is showing that there is money being made. But there are overwhelmingly a lot of folks out there that are still struggling to get by. And these tariffs are only going to make things worse. These tariffs will not reduce prices. These tariffs are going to hit the middle class hard, and it's not going to affect folks like Trump or any of the individuals that he's putting into this cabinet for a second administration.
That I go along with that. I guess I was looking less back at the election than looking forward and saying, is this part of his messaging campaign to a degree, but more realistically, as you say, as you talked about last segment, that if in fact he does this, and he's threatened and not done things before, and he's threatened and done things before, so it's kind of, you don't know what's really going to happen. If he actually would put some of these things into play, I mean, you take Canada, Mexico, and China, that is a significant chunk of where we get our goods from.
Those are our 3 largest exporters and importers.
Yeah.
We trade with those 3 countries more than any. Those are our top 3.
So everything from avocados to tomatoes to trucks to washers and dryers are going to go up.
Yeah, and so I don't really understand, I guess, the 4D chess move of it all too, because if it juices the numbers now for this, say, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, holiday season, if everybody goes out and record spends, he doesn't get credit for that this year because he's not president. He may claim credit. I mean, we all saw him during the last campaign just act like he wasn't president in 2020,
right?
Because he was asking the question, "Oh, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" And that was the height of the pandemic 4 years ago, and he mismanaged that pandemic. He was telling people to inject themselves with bleach. And again, yes, it is very hard to take him at his word for all of those things because he says outrageous things like inject yourself with bleach. But then you get his supporters that are like, oh, well, you can't take him at his word. He doesn't mean that literally. But then you get stuff like this where it seems like the cabinet he's putting around him are going to, on day one, this is something he can do. There's no check and balance on this.
Correct.
He can implement these tariffs if that's what he wants to do. And we already see Mexico floating a retributional 25% tariff back. And so I don't know what to expect.
Also, a quick side note on this. He's saying in his post last night, again, just repeating what he says, that he's doing this to try to stymie the flow of illegal immigration from both Mexico and Canada and fentanyl. But if you do a little research on it, particularly with the Cato Institute and others, 80.2% of crossers into the United States with fentanyl at ports of entry from 2019 to 2024, turns out actually U.S. citizens. So this narrative, again, that quote-unquote illegals or undocumented folks are bringing in fentanyl to the United States, most of it actually comes from U.S. citizens. And secondarily, record numbers are dropping in terms of quote unquote illegal or undocumented immigration. So again, it's about narrative, not about fact.
Correct. And I mean, if you really wanted to address the aspect of illegal immigration, there was a bipartisan bill earlier this year that was working its way through Congress that had elected Republican and Democratic support, and Donald Trump told his supporters to kill it in the U.S. Senate.
And that note, I mean, that fact comes from James Lankford, the Republican author from Oklahoma.
I believe second most conservative rated senator in the U.S. Senate.
And yesterday he had the audacity, I think Sunday, to say, yeah, you know what? I'm not so sure about Tulsi Gabbard in intelligence, and we want to ask her some questions. In other words, the institution of the Senate should do its constitutional duty, and MAGA social media is going nuts saying this guy is gone off the range.
Yeah. And it's going to be a very interesting couple of years here, at least until the midterms.
Yes.
But it is, it's showing already a difficulty for the press to cover these things, because there's did you see the headline over the weekend, Todd, of this is the most ideologically diverse cabinet?
I did not see that.
That's how
funny.
Some national
That's
outlet.
funny.
That's not The Onion.
Right.
That's not SNL. That's not any satire. That is, I forget if it was ABC or CBS, but one of the big national news outlets framing it up now as this is the most ideologically diverse cabinet. Because you got folks like Tulsi Gabbard, who used to be
technically a Democrat.
Yes, elected official from Hawaii.
Right.
On the Democratic side of politics. You got RFK Jr. You've got then the more conservative picks that Donald Trump is putting into his cabinet, like Lee Zeldin, who's going to now lead the Environmental Protection Agency. And so there's a diverse array of Trump fans in this cabinet. And that's how this is being reported on. Like, it is to the point I sometimes just don't know what to do, and I'm trying very, very hard to not turn to the cynicism and turn to the, well, let's just see how this goes, because it doesn't help. It doesn't actually address the problems, I think, that we saw in this last election cycle of how folks are getting their news. I think it's really important. I'm just going to get back to genuine of being authentic and talking about these things as I see them and how I react to them. But it is, it's testing that patience, Todd.
I mean, I said earlier in the show today, I said I'm just not of the camp that this, quote unquote, this, meaning the election of Trump or re-election of Trump, this is the voters' fault. You know, people knowingly put this guy into office. I've done a lot of reflecting. We've talked about this off the air, that I have come to I kind of sort of knew this going in, but it's been kind of solidified in my mind that there are a lot of folks that voted for Donald Trump, but because of what you said, because we've become even more siloed in our information gathering than even I thought, that there are people out there that truly never heard the facts or the truth because they're so limited in what they read, watch, and listen to. And I think there's going to be some people in for big surprises over the next few months and years.
Yeah, I truly believe that. And there's going to be just a reckoning with what people thought they were going to get, and what the former and now once again President-elect Donald Trump is going to do. And it truly looks like there's very few guardrails that are going to be in place. But it's interesting to see this bipartisan effort that is working its way through Congress right now with Rep. Jamie Raskin to go through and provide some First Amendment protections for the press during this lame duck session, and see what happens with that. Because if that's truly the focus of Congress over the next couple of weeks before the swearing in of the next Congress, I think it shows that the folks at the levers of power right now have some information that may mean there's some dark times coming ahead.
We shall see. Yeah, a lot to get to in the next few months.
Sorry to bring it down. As you were saying, it's a gorgeous sunshiny day. A beautiful day.
Let's play a little bit, because Luke likes to remind me how old I am, and I was listening to Shabuzi. I talked about Shabuzi. Let's play a little Shabuzi, Zombers. Here we go. Listen to this. We'll explain it when we come back. Here we go.
baby born a Birkin. She's been telling me all night long. Gasoline and groceries, the list goes on and on. It's 9 to 5, ain't working. Why the hell do I work so hard? I can't worry about my problems. I can't take them when I'm gone.
What's a Birkin? Luke will tell me when we come back on Civic Media.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Sean on YouTube says, Aloha, Todd and Luke, from, sorry if I butcher this, Molokai, Hawaii.
Oh my goodness gracious, Sean, thanks for tuning in over in Hawaii.
Also says that Tulsi Gabbard is a sellout traitor to the beautiful state.
I could not agree more. All right, Sean, I don't know if you're a native Hawaiian or not, but did you ever watch CSI Miami? And then the question is, did you see Tulsi Gabbard's announcement for president when she ran for president? And I am telling you, if she didn't hire the same videographers that worked on CSI Miami, because it was spooky, it was weird, the lighting, the cinematographic or whatever you want to call it, the film rates, and the way she talked, it just looked weird. And I said that but way back, what was it, 2016 she ran for president? Is that right? Or when did she actually run?
I think it was part of the 2020 cycle when everybody ran.
All right. Whatever she ran, I thought, something ain't right here. And as it turns out, well, yeah, it was true.
I think it was I think she ran in 2020 when it was a crowded field, and then by the 2022 midterm, she announced that she was leaving.
Right,
she did the whole thing
Yep.
Kristen Sinema did, where they're leaving the Democratic Party.
Right. No, you're right. And
it's easier to grift if we're not in the Democratic Party.
Are you a native Hawaiian? Let us know, because I think that's a really interesting take. And how's the weather in Hawaii? Just rub it into us. Tell us. I am a native Hawaiian. Fantastic. Really? Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Somebody who's actually met Tulsi Gabbard.
All right, 20 seconds.
All right, thank you. The Allbaugh Show, the Civic Media Radio Network, 9 before the hour of 1 o'clock. Why did you dial up there, Albert? So we're going back for some more shabuzi.
A little bit of specials, just some ska. I know Luke's a fan of ska, and also I didn't want to play the exact same song that we just had.
Right. Oh, that's fine. Why? That's fine.
I don't know other shabuzi songs. I don't know if he swears.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all. We'll talk about it in a second. This is why I love this program for many reasons. From Hayward to Hawaii. All right, that's who's listening to us. That's who's viewing us. Sean, watching on YouTube over in Hawaii, says, Aloha, Todd and Luke from, how do you say that, Sommers?
I said Molokai. I don't know if that's right.
Hawaii. All right, well, we appreciate. Turns out Sean knows, or I should say has met Tulsi Gabbard, who represented Hawaii for a while in Congress. He says, quote, she's, quote, a sellout traitor to Hawaii. And, what else do you say here? The best thing in 4 years won't be about is about that Donald Trump won't be able to run in 2028, 29. We'll see. I hope not. I hope that's the case. And he is, by the way, Sean is a native Hawaiian, I should say, met Tulsi Gabbard once and said she's a trip. And also, it's 90 degrees in Hawaii right now. How about that, Luke?
Yeah, that sounds too hot.
Oh, no. With the trade winds? With the trade winds? No.
Okay. I like my Wisconsin seasons. So
I like Wisconsin seasons, but I like a little beach time as well. All right. So this song, thank you for watching over there in Hawaii, Sean, and good morning to you.
I was going to say, it's early there. Good morning.
Good morning. So Shabuzi, this song we played on the way out. First of all, what is a Birkin? My baby wants a Birkin.
I don't know what a Birkin is.
Do you know what that is? Zommers? Zommers doesn't know either. All right. But here's more
important. Is it
like
like a Birkenstock?
Maybe.
Because that's the only thing that I can think of.
This has been the number one song, by the way, for 19 now straight weeks on the country hits, right? It's been on the Billboard Top 100 across all genres. not number one for all 19 weeks, but been on the chart for 19 weeks and been number one for several weeks. It's a crossover song.
I discovered what a Birkin is.
What is it?
The Birkin is a tote bag introduced in 1984 by French luxury goods maker Hermès.
There you go.
Oh.
So it's a fancy bag that's like $12,000 or more.
Okay.
So his baby wants a Birkin. Who doesn't? She's been telling me all night long. Gasoline and groceries. The list goes on and on. This 9 to 5 ain't working. Why the hell do I work so hard? I can't worry about my problems. I can't take them when I'm gone. So wrote one of the reporters, Philip Wegman, White House reporter for Real Clear Politics, easy for Todd to say, saying that the D.C. class out in D.C. right now, wondering if this kind of represents messaging gone wrong in that, the last 4 years, again, the larger economy has actually been doing very, very well. But again, there's this narrative out there that gasoline and groceries, that things aren't going. Is there anything to this, Luke, or is this just enjoy the song and shut up?
I think you're overanalyzing a song that's on the Billboard Top 100.
I'm not blaming the song. I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying this is symptomatic of the overall kind of feeling out there.
Yeah, I think it's
That's a great song, by the way. And I think Shabuzi got screwed out of the what is it, the
CMAs
or CMA entertainer, the new entertainer of the year, with the breakout artist, whatever, Megan Mulroney or whatever, she got it. But he is up for like 4 Grammys.
There you go. It's award season. I can't believe it's award season again already. That's wild.
Anyway,
but,
go ahead.
I think it goes back to the fact that there's a lot of people out there that are hurting, and it's tough, and it's going to be I think very, very interesting how these tariffs are going to affect the middle class, because I don't see it working successfully. It's going to raise costs for everybody that is going about their day, going to the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store and you're shopping for your groceries, even produce, like this isn't a joke of just like avocados from Mexico and maple syrup from Canada. Like everything is going to get more expensive. We import a lot of different things around here, and a tariff is a tax added that is paid by the importer. So we as U.S. customers are going to be the ones paying these tariffs.
Correct.
And so for anybody that voted for Donald Trump saying, I'm voting for him because I want prices to go down, these day one tariffs that he is promising on January 20th or January 21st are going to make everything more expensive, including gas and groceries. We import 50% of our petroleum from Canada.
Speaking of Canadians, as Gomer Pyle once said, surprise, surprise, surprise. People are going to be in for a surprise along the way. All right,
should it be a surprise though? He talked about it for
again. Not everybody was listening to channels. People were listening to different sources. It's Axe
Week.
Listening
to Shabuzi.
They're listening to Shabuzi. It's Axe Week at your alma mater, University of Wisconsin, Madison. Badgers once again a debacle in Nebraska. They have a must-win situation in Madison on Friday game time. Broadcast starts at 9 a.m. Kickoff 11 at the camp. What do you got, Luke?
I'm hoping that the Badgers are able to sink that boat. PJ Fleck likes to row a boat, and I'm hoping that it gets sunk.
PJ Flecksters. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, boy, this is not how I thought season 2 of Luke Fickell's lead of the team was going to be.
Is there any chance, if he loses out, any chance that they cut their ties with Fickell?
I'm not going to say no. I don't think the chance is 0. No, I
agree.
I think it's a slim chance still.
I agree.
Unless Minnesota comes and just rocks the Badgers.
I think there's one exception. One way they cut ties with Fickell and maybe Mack, and that's if they back the Brinks truck up and Jim Leonard agrees to come back.
Oh yeah, but I don't know if Jim. You think Jim wants the job?
He's hanging out in Cross Plains.
It could be the savior right there. Wisconsin Badgers
football.
Identity,
Luke. You need some identity. You understand?
Yeah.
Bucks, quick.
Got the 3rd in-season tournament game tonight, so hoping we can take care of business in Miami. Chris Middleton, we miss you. Get healthy soon, Chris. Get healthy soon.
Luke's not telling you he's spending Thanksgiving with Giannis, so he'll be on a report next week about that. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Luke Mathers, thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it. Tuesday Tangents with Luke. We'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Todd.
Come on back, hour 2 after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Everybody at the bar can't tip. Everybody at the bar
We're tipsy.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
It's not even Mimosa Friday.
No, it's
On our
not
next program, Mike
Thanks,
McCabe
Luke.
will be in
Appreciate
studio
it.
with us.
And he'll be talking about his latest column, Signs of True Manhood.
Better man up.
The John and Gordy Show. Weekday mornings 6 till 8.
This is Chad Spade. Are you thinking about improving your home? At Chad's Design Build, we're proud to offer remodeling done well with love. And our commitments to you and your home convey that love and spell our name. The Chad's experience is structured to provide excellent communication, honesty, accuracy, detailed proposals, and satisfied customers. We're also committed to making your home comfortable, healthy, attractive, durable, and sustainable. If you want a quality remodel and a quality remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franz, and after a year of escalations on the Israel-Lebanon border, Israel's security cabinet approving a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal between Israel, Lebanon, and Hezbollah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu making the announcement in a taped video message. Earlier, at the G7 summit in Italy, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the 60-day pause would begin soon and would bring stability to the region.
By de-escalating tensions in the region, it can also help us to end the conflict in Gaza.
President Biden will deliver remarks this afternoon. President-elect Donald Trump says he plans to slap tariffs on Mexico and Canada on the first day of his new administration. Mexico's president says it would issue tariffs of its own if the U.S. carries through with the plan. Mexico and Canada are the U.S.'s largest trade partners. And the Thanksgiving getaway is on today, marking the peak of air travel with 50,000 flights scheduled. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. In the drama on Madison's Common Council, now Alder Charles Miadzi says he plans to finish out his term. This is kind of a long story, so bear with me here. Miadzi has been under scrutiny from his peers on the council. Harassment allegations surfaced last April, prompting alders to pass a new resolution on harassment and assault. It also set up a process to investigate allegations if they come up. Then over the summer, complaints were filed under that new rule. After that, more women, including a former deputy mayor, accused Miadzi of domestic abuse. An outside law firm investigated and found the women accusing him to be credible, but not enough evidence to prove he violated federal or state laws. Then a group of 14 alders and the mayor introduced a resolution to censure him. That's basically a symbolic vote saying they don't approve of his conduct. Well, now we're hearing from Miadzi. He just gave an interview to News 3 saying he intends to finish out his term. And UW-Madison has jumped up in the research rankings. For years, it was number 8 on the list of universities that spent the most on research. But now it's number 6. That's because it has $1.7 billion in research expenditures. About half of that came from federal grants and awards. That's a record for the university. And how does Wisconsin stack up as a place to retire? Lisa Hale has the answer.
U.S. News & World Report released its list for the 150 best places to retire in the United States. Green Bay tops the list of Wisconsin cities, coming in at 11th in the nation, up from 16th last year. Other Wisconsin cities that made the grade are Madison at 37th and Milwaukee at 123rd, down from 64th last year. The organization looked at the happiness of local residents, housing affordability, tax rates, and healthcare quality.
Madison has lots of social opportunities, access to nature, and great healthcare options, all counting in its favor. This is 92.7 WMDX News.
The Packers prepare for Thanksgiving. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. For the second year in a row, the Green Bay Packers are playing on Thanksgiving. Last year, they beat the Lions in Detroit 29-22. The game got some of the highest ratings ever. This year, the Packers are at home Thursday night against the Dolphins. Kickoff at 7:20. Matt LaFleur asked if there was time to review the tape of their win over the 49ers Sunday night.
I'm sure Miami's going to look at that tape, so you better know what you did and the areas where you may be susceptible to getting exposed, and make those corrections and move on.
The Badgers host Minnesota this Friday. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Head coach Luke Fickell asked his safety Hunter Wohler will be back after missing the last game with an injury. Wohler leads the team in tackling.
No, we don't know. Those are things that we're going to have to play out through the week. There's a lot of guys that are kind of in a similar situation that, as you get to the end of the year, it's a grueling season. It's the Big Ten is not the easiest road in the world.
That's Wisconsin head coach Luke Fickell.
Israeli
Sports,
Hezbollah
I'm Mike Clemens.
ceasefire. So
This is your
just keep a
hometown
track on
radio.
that. And we'll try and take
Refreshed.
that.
Yeah,
Keeping you
I'll have it up.
informed, entertained, and connected
in case they start on
locally
time.
across the Civic Media Network.
The sunshine finally breaks through, alongside a feisty west wind slapping a wind chill on top of cold temperatures. Highs today struggle to get above the freezing mark, and tomorrow hit the upper 30s. All ahead of cold air sliding in for Friday and the entire weekend. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 30.
Listen to the John and Gordy Show weekdays right here on WMDX, sponsored by Verlo Mattress. Sleep better, dream bigger on a handcrafted, locally made mattress. Find them on Madison's East and West Side or online at verlo.com.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
His name's Jeff Mandel, General Counsel for Law Forward.
Mr. Gableman broke more ethics laws and rules than he followed. The attorney's oath here in Wisconsin is fairly long. Mr. Gableman had, in the course of the sham investigation into the 2020 election, violated every single sentence in that oath.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
That first time seeing my son,
We'll do
I feel
what's
like my
worse
life
here in
did a
the first
180.
segment.
He really is.
Sounds good. Got about 30 seconds.
All right, thank you.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be along with you. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 1 o'clock. Welcome in hour number 2 of the big program. It is Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Sunny skies here in Madison, although chilly, a bit chilly as you go throughout your day across the state of Wisconsin. 33 now, 33 in Wisconsin, or at least in Madison. Colder in other parts of the state. Not like our friend Sean over in Hawaii watching us on YouTube, where he says it's 90 degrees. 90 degrees on the beach. I don't know if it's on the beach or not, but
and sunny weather as well.
And sunny. 90. Never been to Hawaii. Have you, Zommers?
Nope.
One of the places I would like to check off the bucket list. I have a map at home of the United States of America, and it's one of those like I was going to say scratch and sniff. It's not that. Wouldn't that be fantastic though if you had a map of the United States that was scratch and sniff? So you scratched Hawaii and it smelled like pineapples or hibiscus or something, and like I don't know, you scratch Florida and it's oranges. I think I came on to a new thing.
Scratch Florida and it's a swamp smell.
But no, what I have at home is it's like I guess the better description is like a scratch off lottery ticket.
Right.
So you have like the map, it has a coating on it. And then you can scratch it every time you visit some place or go on a road or a city, and then you kind of reveal a different color underneath of the coating to show where you've been.
That's pretty cool. I've seen similar things with video games and movies where it'll be a big list of like some of the most acclaimed media things, and then you scratch them off when you've seen it.
Yeah,
or played it.
Kind of a cool thing to keep track of. And so my goal before I perish from this earth is to get to all 50 states. I would say I'm over halfway. But I've not been to Hawaii yet. So one of the places I would like to go.
If you count layovers at airports, then I think I've been to like 4 states. It's not a lot.
Oh yeah, hey, you're younger than me.
I think at least 5.
you got a lot of time to go, hopefully. But yeah, I enjoy traveling. And so I'd like to announce that this January, join the Todd Allbaugh Show from Maui as well for broadcasting.
News to me.
Luke Mathers just ran back in here. Apparently that's been vetoed by the high power. But wouldn't that be? I bet you, if I asked nicely, I bet that Jane Matnair would come to Maui with me.
If both of you paid for it, yeah.
No, I mean it's on the company. I bet Matnair on air. And of course, her program would air like at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning over in Hawaii.
I don't think the problem there is getting Jane to say yes.
How about it, Jane? If you're listening, I think that'd be great.
I think as long as they get her a fruit plate, get some fresh pineapple, we'll be good.
Jane and Todd from Maui coming up in 2025. Glad to have you along. Thank you to Luke Mathers for being here. We appreciate him every Tuesday on Tuesday Tangents with Luke. Coming up in a bit, Luke mentioned this. Going to talk a little bit more about it. Guardrails. Guardrails on our institutions. Our federal government, White House, Congress, the Supreme Court, do guardrails exist anymore? And much, much more. Your phone calls as well. Right now it's 9 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock. Time for What's Worse. Let's go.
Yes, all right. Yes, all right. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away, just your opportunity to be heard on statewide radio and around the world on What's Worse. Places like Hawaii. Great opportunity to be on the show. All you got to do is give us your opinion. By the way, though, coming up after Thanksgiving in December, our Vice President, Aaron Carreno, he's always thinking there is no off switch on Carreno's genius head. He's always thinking for us, and he's come up with a brand new, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I am, a brand new text to win giveaway. And let me tell you, I've seen some of these prizes, and they're spectacular. You're not going to want to miss it, but here's the deal on this. He's tricky, that Carreno. You have to have the Civic Media app. No phone calls, unless we do make exceptions for we have listeners that happen to be blind or disabled or whatever. Call in, but the general public, you have to text in to win. And the only way you could do that is to download the Civic Media app. So don't wait till after Thanksgiving when I tell you, here's how you win. You're like, oh, geez, I don't have the app. You're going to be behind. You understand? You're going to be behind. We don't want you to be behind the 8 ball. We here on the Todd Allbaugh Show want you, our friendly listeners, to be ahead of the game. We want you to have an upper hand across the network. So do yourself a favor. Get yourself ready to go to win great prizes after Thanksgiving for the brand new Text to Win giveaway coming up in December from the creators of the Summer Sizzler Text to Win giveaway.
Is that what it was called? I thought it was the Scotty Summer. I don't remember.
It probably was. But it would have been good. I like the Summer Sizzler giveaway.
Maybe this next year.
Yeah. Great. A steak at Sizzler Steakhouse. No, we're serious about this. So download the Civic Media app. You can do it on your Apple or Android device. Just go to your app store. You type in Civic, CIVIC, Media. It'll pop up. You click on that. Takes less than a minute. It's free. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. The Civic Media app. All right. So the point is, not only can you win great stuff after Thanksgiving, you can actually text in and be a part of this now, or you can give us a call. What's worse? Speaking of weather earlier, what's worse? Here we are. What's worse? A 20-degree and sunny day or 38 degrees and rain? What's worse? 20 degrees and sun or 38 degrees and rain? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Or you can text us on the Civic Media app. What's worse, 20 degrees and sun or 38 degrees and rain? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or text us on the Civic Media app. I have very particular feelings about this, Summers.
I imagine that you're preferring the 20 and sunny.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
Sorry, I imagine that you prefer weather that is 20 degrees and sunny.
38. Matt in Germantown says WAUK 38 and rain is worse. I could not agree more.
He says nothing to debate. Anyone who says the opposite is wrong.
Yeah, Matt, I'm with you on that. But maybe, hey, if you can make the argument, give us a call. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. What's worse, 20 and sun or 38 and rain? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. I have feelings because to me, my grandma used to say it's so damp out. It just goes right through you. And when you get to that, you're just above freezing, but you're below 40, and it's like misty out and cloudy. It's just damp, and it's a cold wetness that just chills you right to the bone. Listening to us on Chippewa Falls and listening via WAUK, but she's up in beautiful Chippewa Falls. She says 38 and rain is worse. Could not agree more.
Sherry in Horicon also says the rain is worse.
Very good. Sherry, appreciate that. Listening on WMDX. And the thing is, when it's 20 degrees and sun, because in my opinion, I always feel better and I feel warmer when I see sunshine.
Yeah, it's definitely a psychological thing.
Yeah.
I will say, though, if there's snow on the ground, or even if there's not, just because it's cold, don't forget your sunglasses.
Well, yes, that's true.
Because especially if there's snow on the ground, the white reflects the sun, and it can damage your eyes.
Right, exactly. But 20, when it's below, it's 20 degrees, it's going to be more brisk, but you don't have that. I hate to call it a dry cold. But, unless it's snowing, that's different. But if it's just 20 degrees and sun, it's not going to be quite as humid probably. And you got the sun, at least if you're sitting in the car or by a window, the sun's kind of coming in, beating on your skin. You feel better. It feels warmer. 38 and rain, it just goes right through me. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. Do you experience this summers at your youthful age or am I crazy?
No, I agree. I think that I can always wear more layers. I can move around.
Right.
Not everybody can move around, but still heat up with that. And with the rain, if you get any of it in there, you're just going to be a soggy, chilly mess.
Yes. Now here, our friend and ongoing contributor, Jeffrey Perry, says, as that great philosopher Eddie Rabbit told us, quote, I love a rainy night, unquote. I'll go with 38 and rain. Now, wait a minute. Are you saying you're going with 38 and rain is worse, or you're saying that you love the rain and you think that 38 and rain is fantastic?
Jude in East Troy says
clarify your position.
20
Mr.
and sunny
Perry.
is worse.
Really? Jude in East Troy, 20 and sun is the worst. Wow. Do you want to elaborate, Jude? I'm truly curious why somebody would say 20 and sun is worse. I guess if you really don't like the cold, but again, to me, 20 degrees and sun feels warmer than 38 and rain. Jude says, oh, the winter overcast. You like the winter overcast. Okay. All right. You know what? My godson out in Portland, he's one of those people that does not mind cloudy weather and rain.
Good, because he moved into a very
Right.
cloudy, rainy region.
Jason is in the right place. To clarify, wow. So to clarify, Jeffrey says that 20 and sun is worse. All right. And the problem is that Jeff was susceptible to one of those scams, and he sent his DNA into 20 and sun instead of 23andMe.
Oh, that'll do it.
And he's very upset about that. He got back his analysis, and it turns out he's from Boaz. So he was very upset about that. He felt scammed, as well he should. Andrew in Maine, we're asking the question, what's worse, 20 and sunny or 38 degrees and rain? Andrew in Maine says 20 and windy might be worse than 38 and rain with little to no wind. Well, now we're factoring in all kinds of different information. Matt in Germantown says, I thought I lost faith in humanity after the election, but I think I'm hitting a new low. Len in Madison says, what are the wind conditions? Well, I don't know.
It is important. It is important.
Oh, for goodness sakes. I just meant the overall. All right, let's assume there's little to no wind. 20 and sunny or 38 in rain. What's worse? 855-752-4842. Also text us on the Civic Media app. Get ready to win prizes after Turkey Day. Back after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
News and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school
on the
diploma.
Biden thing,
If you're
can
even
you
considering getting
set
your
up
high
so you
school
can
diploma,
pause it in
you
case
can
you
do
can
it.
right at
No one gets a diploma
1:30,
alone.
and then if
you're
that's the
thinking
case,
of
we'll come back
finishing your
like
high
a
school
special
diploma,
report
you
music
have
after
help.
the break.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Matt Nair on air.
Jimmy Kuska said that Wisconsin's official state speed trap is in Rosendale.
Do you get like a souvenir sticker?
A T-shirt. I got pulled over in Rosendale, and all I got was this lousy
it
ticket.
can't be official.
If there's no merch, it's not a thing. Troy from Mount Horeb.
There is merch. The original convenience store in Rosendale has a shirt that says Rosendale. That's the ticket.
Now I think we're going to have to do a road trip to Rosendale just to get merch.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays at 11 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. The John and Gordy Show.
I went out to the car and I had to scrape ice off my window.
You're kidding.
Do you have a good ice scraper at least?
I have an excellent ice scraper, and thank God it was in the car yet.
I had to use like my credit card to scrape my windshield.
Oh,
No. You know what works great is a cassette.
You actually used a cassette to pick the ice off your windows?
Yeah.
No.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did
Welcome
me
back
some
to the Town Hall
talking
Show
to the
on the
sun.
Civic Media Radio Network. 21 now, past the hour of 1 o'clock, talking a little weather here. In what's worse? What's worse, 20 degrees and sun or 38 degrees and rain? What kind of weather is worse? 20 degrees and sunny skies and no wind, or 38 degrees and rain and no wind? People have some feelings on this. Jack in Merrimack says definitely 20 and sunny. Probably because my wife suffers from SAD, S-A-D, which pertains to
seasonal affective disorder. So
Thank you.
I think Jack's saying that 20 and sunny is better.
Is better, correct. Chris in Janesville, more wind, he says. Okay. More wind. Breaking news for you, by the way. This across the wires. The Israeli security cabinet has voted in favor of a ceasefire deal to end the fighting with militant and terrorist group Hezbollah in Lebanon, according to Israeli officials. The White House has announced that U.S. President Joe Biden will deliver remarks on or about 1:30 our time, so about 9 minutes away. According to the White House, his remarks from the Rose Garden come after Israel's Security Council and Cabinet announced its approval of the ceasefire deal in Lebanon, according to an Israeli official. We will carry President Biden's remarks right after the bottom of the hour, if those become available to us. So again, Israel announcing that it is approved. Their security cabinet has voted in favor of a ceasefire deal to end the fighting with terrorist group Hezbollah in Lebanon. And President Biden will address the nation shortly after 1:30 this afternoon. Again, one final call out. If you want to call in or text in, what's worse, 20 degrees and sunny. 20 degrees on a sunny day. Crisp, cool, but bright winter day. Or 38 degrees and rain. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Or you can text us on the Civic Media app, whichever you prefer. 855-752-4842. Let's go to the phone lines. Gary in Sussex. Gary, what's worse, 20 degrees and sun or 38 degrees and rain?
Well, I run marathons and I do triathlons.
Do you really? Wow, that's fantastic.
Ironman.
Yeah.
Yeah, done 5 Ironman triathlons.
Wow.
Well, when I run a marathon, the temperature, the best is about 25 degrees and sunny and no wind. It's
really
perfect.
All right.
Because you don't sweat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always take 25 degrees and sunny.
All right.
I won't even take 50 degrees and rain or 70 degrees and rain. I always take a sunny day over a rainy day. I don't care how cold it is.
That's
right
very
now,
interesting.
Todd, I'm in my shorts right now, and I go from my I'm in my shorts. I love riding in shorts.
You remind me of one of my high school and middle school football coaches, Gary Schwartz. We used to call him Moontan because he would wear shorts well into the finals of football season at night. It'd be like 25, 30 degrees at night in October during football season, and he'd have his shorts on. We called him Moontan. Are you like that?
I do have. I wear them all year round. I go to people's homes and they think that I'm nuts. I'm at the door, and they'll say, "Well, why can you be wearing shorts and it's 20 degrees out?" I said, "Because my truck is warm.
Right.
I go into your house and it's nice and warm, and I fix the furnace or whatever."
Right.
I said, I don't go through any of my blue jeans anymore with holes in my knees. I just hated that, so I just started wearing shorts all year round. Hey, I do have one comment.
Yeah, what do you got?
And you're laughing now. I don't know if you'll laugh at this one or not. What do you?
You can't just leave it in good news, can you? But go ahead. It's all right. Go ahead.
No. Okay. What do you think of Elon Musk going out there, possibly buying MSNBC? What do you think about that?
What do I think about it? I think part of it is possibly a lot of posturing just to rile people up and get us to, again, I think it's kind of a shiny object to talk about things like that rather than, more serious matters. But do I think it's entirely a joke? No, probably not. I mean, could it happen? Yes, but NBC Universal has said it would probably be well over a year before any deal like that is done. But I think right now it's about he and Don Jr. just ginning up people on the left to get them riled up and not pay attention to more important matters.
Well, I think it'd be interesting because the next thing I know, all my liberal friends will be watching conservative television.
No, I don't think that's the case. I mean, you've already seen Morning Joe lose almost half of his audience so far, just from them going down and meeting with Trump. But I mean,
you know something?
What? Go ahead.
I told Earl. I told Earl Ingram.
Well, all right. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Donald Trump was going to win. He's going to win big. I told him that he's going to. Donald Trump's going to win all 7. Tossing up states.
Well, you were right about that.
And the thing is, the reason I told him this, and he laughed at me. I told him because I know what's going on in the world. I know how ticked off that all the Republicans are, because when Hillary Clinton called me and all my friends deplorables, and then Biden and Harris calling us all fascists and stuff like that, just ticked us off. I knew that Donald Trump was going to win, but the people on the left, they just didn't understand because they just didn't watch what's really going on in the world. They heard what the pundits on MSNBC and CNN were telling people.
And let's be fair. Let's be fair for a second. Not everybody was using that vernacular and doing that. And also, I just look, I'm not into dragging in my colleagues, other co-hosts on this show. They do their own shows, and I respect them, and they do great work on themselves.
I like Earl.
Yeah, Earl's a great guy. But it's not about anybody else or anybody else's show. It's about this show and how we communicate. And I would simply say, Gary, that your prediction, I guess you want to call it that, you were correct on it. Whether or not I totally agree with your reasoning might be we might disagree a little bit on that. I think though in part that you're correct. I think there are certain people. I'm not talking about people at Civic, but I think there are people out there messaging probably the wrong way. I think that's a fair point. All right, stay tuned. More after this right here. It is the Todd Allbaugh Show, and this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. We have an update on the Madison Coyotes. First, the UW Canid Project has been trying to trap that one that seems to be sick. It's been spotted around Odana Hills Golf Course. They want to take it to the Wildlife Center to get it some help. They've had live traps out for about a week, but the coyote hasn't entered them. However, nobody has reported sightings of that one in about a week either. Meanwhile, another was spotted on a playground. It happened on Friday. The coyote was wandering around the Franklin Elementary School playground. That's on the west side, but on the opposite side of the UW Arboretum of all the other sightings that were more in the Nakoma neighborhood. All kids were inside at the time. Staff called police dispatch, but eventually the coyote just left on its own. Overall, volunteers from the Canid Project say they're getting fewer reported sightings, but still higher than average. If you see a healthy coyote, you're encouraged to haze it. Wave your arms, be loud. They do not want coyotes feeling comfortable around people in broad daylight. And the NFL and the NBA are warning their players, make sure your house is secure. And now the list of victims includes somebody on the Bucks roster. Here's Stuart J. Waddles.
The burglary of a Bucks star's home could be connected to other break-ins at other athletes' estates. A string of home burglaries targeting professional athletes has caught the attention of investigators who are now exploring potential connections between the incidents. The latest victim, Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis, had his River Hills home burglarized earlier this month, with authorities noting similarities to break-ins at the residences of NFL stars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. The investigation also includes a September burglary at Minnesota Timberwolves player Mike Conley's home. It suggested that there's a possible trend in high-profile athlete home invasions.
The NBA memo says the FBI believes these may be burglary tourists, people who come into the country on legal visas for 90 days, commit some thefts, and go home. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Well, Glicked Weekend's box office haul turned out to be no match for that of Barbenheimer's, but it was still impressive and helped the holiday box office get off to a great start. As expected, Wicked landed in the top spot with a take of $114 million, more than doubling Gladiator 2's haul of $56 million at the gate. Gladiator 2, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Paul Mescal, Connie Nielsen, Denzel Washington, and Pedro Pascal, was never expected to be the top dog, as it was always Oppenheimer to Wicked's Barbie. Wicked slightly exceeded expectations with its box office haul, whereas Gladiator 2 came in just under its expectations. This is becoming a trend in Hollywood where two films coming out at the same time were not necessarily competing against each other, but help each other create a social media phenomenon. Landing in third place in week 2 of its release was Red One with $13 million. Rounding out the top 5 were Bonhoeffer, Pastor Spy Assassin, and the resilient Venom, The Last Dance, which came in 5th place with $4 million. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
The sunshine finally breaks through, alongside a feisty west wind slapping a wind chill on top of cold temperatures. Highs today struggle to get above the freezing mark, and tomorrow hit the upper 30s. All ahead of cold air sliding in for Friday and the entire weekend. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 33 at our studios.
Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28, in-store only.
Come to the Lazy Elf Lounge to cheer on the green and gold. Enjoy free Jello shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Stock up on $20 buckets
30
of White
seconds,
Claw and
normal
high
music.
noon. $15
So I still haven't started.
Haven't started yet? All right. You just throw it. Yeah. Not just normal music.
Sounds
but
good.
You can throw the video up so I can see if he's
I will do that.
Thank you. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. And it's 34 minutes now past the hour of 1 o'clock on Tuesday, November 26, 2024. Awaiting the remarks of President Joe Biden from the Rose Garden in the White House or at the White House. Reports are that the Israeli Security Cabinet has approved a ceasefire deal with the terrorist organization Hezbollah in Lebanon. Awaiting President Biden's remarks on that. We will bring it to you as soon as we see the president coming to the podium here this afternoon. I want to bring you a story here. I think this is really important as we go through the next few weeks and into the next couple of months. From rawstory.com. Says Donald Trump has not even retaken the presidency yet, and he is already employing the core tactic he relied on since 2015 to demoralize and confuse his opponents. That written by former Naval War College professor and conservative national security expert Tom Nichols for The Atlantic. And it's more important than ever that nobody falls for it, he said. Nichols, a longtime critic of Trump, explained that the president-elect likes to lurch from one crisis, scandal to scandal, never letting the news cycle linger on one thing too long so that no one can settle on what they're supposed to be mad at. And ultimately, quote unquote, exhaust themselves instead of forming an effective resistance. It's already happening, Nichols argued. Quote, the president-elect and his team have spent much of November baiting and trolling their opponents while throwing red meat to the MAGA faithful, unquote. Starting with letting tech billionaire Elon Musk head up a task force to slash government payrolls named after a meme. Quote, and though some of Trump's nominees have been relatively reasonable choices, in recent days, Trump has put forward a handful of manifestly unqualified and or even dangerous picks, and reiterated his grandiose plans for the first days in office and promised to punish his enemies, Nichols wrote. The counter to this, Nichols said, is that people need to keep their eye on the ball and focus on Trump's and America's vulnerabilities. Quote, people should not panic and exhaust themselves in advance, he wrote. In practice, this means setting priorities. Mine are the preservation of democracy and national security, and conserving mental energy and political effort to concentrate on those issues and Trump's plan for them. If citizens and their representatives react to every moment of trollery over the coming weeks, they will be exhausted by Inauguration Day, unquote. That's nothing compared to the marathon the country will have to plow through over the next 4 years, starting with recognizing Trump only won by the narrowest plurality and cannot will himself into having dictatorial powers if the public and their elected officials will not allow it, he wrote. Lastly, he wrote, put all of this aside for the next few days and just enjoy the holidays. He says, quote, for Thanksgiving, give yourself a break. Remember the great privilege and blessing it is to be an American, and have faith in the American Constitution and the freedoms safeguarded within it, he wrote. And then he says, and we're going to talk more about this with Trigby tomorrow. He says, quote, if your Uncle Ned shows up and still wants to argue about how the election was stolen from Trump 4 years ago, my advice is the same as it has been for every holiday. Tell him he's wrong, that you love him anyway, and that you're not having this conversation today, so please pass the potatoes. I like that.
That's a good way to do it, depending on the uncle.
Depending upon the uncle. But I think that Ross' story obviously kind of covers this and this column by Tom Nichols in The Atlantic. I just think there's a lot of truth to it. It kind of goes to the last caller's point there about the rumors of Elon Musk and Don Jr. saying that they're going to buy MSNBC. If you haven't seen the story, NBC Universal, which owns MSNBC, is saying, at least in some circles, that they're looking at spinning that off and selling MSNBC and CNBC and a couple other properties and having it be his own thing. And of course, Elon Musk and Don Jr. immediately say, well, maybe we'll buy it and turn it into another Fox network. And then you have people get all riled up and focus on that. Kind of the same thing with what happened. We've covered this not much because I just think it's, again, it distracts. This whole thing with Nancy Mace, the congressperson from Delaware that just got elected, happens to be a transgender woman. And not Nancy Mace, sorry about that. Nancy Mace is the one proposing this bill on bathrooms in Congress. And the congressperson elected and saying, look, I'm here to help the folks of Delaware make prices lower for Delaware, not to worry about which bathroom I'm going in.
Sarah McBride is her name.
Thank you. I should have gone down that path without having the name in front of me. Sarah McBride is the new congressperson elected. It happens to be a transgender woman. And the headlines and on and on are just, it's just draining people. I think Sarah McBride is absolutely right. Let's focus on why I'm here, why I got elected. The issue of making things more affordable for people in Delaware and across the country. And she basically said, look, I'll use whatever bathroom I need to. That's it. John Fetterman, Democratic U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania, said, look, I have one bathroom in my Senate office. Anybody's welcome to use it, including Congressperson-elect McBride. And then move on. Just like these rumors about Elon Musk buying MSNBC. Don't, we talked about this before in this program. Don't be distracted by the sensational. Look at what Trump is doing in terms of what he plans to do with these tariffs. Look at what some of his people they're appointing are talking about letting up on, vaccines for rubella and polio and measles and mumps in your kids' school districts. Look at what they're saying about either gutting or getting rid of Obamacare, which, as it turns out, is the same thing as the Affordable Care Act. People with pre-existing conditions. If keyword, if they make good on some of this stuff, there's going to be a lot of people that can't get insurance again, health insurance. What Jane McNair and Greg talked about on their show before ours this morning with their guest on agriculture. Keyword if, Trump follows through on a lot of these mass deportations, who's going to work in Wisconsin agriculture? How many restaurants are going to close or have limited hours, limited tables because they don't have people to work in their facilities? What are these tariffs going to mean for your grocery prices? What are the other things in Project 2025 that we talked about prior to the election that they're actually going to do? But again, the whole playbook here is to flood the field. Just put everything out there. Have so many weird, crazy, upsetting things that people can't focus on what's really going on, and they slip in the really nasty stuff that's actually going to affect our lives through the political back door. So take a breath, especially during the holiday season. I'm not going to tell you it's all going to be okay because I don't know that that's true. But we get through it one day at a time. And as Reed Galen told us a couple of weeks ago, let's just get to work. Let's get rid of all the fancy rhetoric and, comparing ourselves to Star Wars movies and being a resistance and all this. Let's just get to work. And part of that means listening to our friends and neighbors, understanding how we communicate better with each other, how we understand where people are getting their information from so that we can meet them where they're at. Not compromising our beliefs. Let me say that again. Not compromising our beliefs or those things in which we know to be true, but meeting people where they're at and having a real effect. Still awaiting President of the United States, Joe Biden, supposed to be giving a presser here soon in the Rose Garden. Reports are that Israel's Security Council has voted in favor of approving a ceasefire with the terrorist organization Hezbollah in Lebanon. In 2 months, Republicans will have a trifecta, partisan control of 3 branches of our federal government, the White House, Congress, Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is, of course, NPino. N-P-I-N-O. What's NPino? Means nonpartisan in name only. I think Matt Flynn would like that one. The 6 conservative justices often prioritized mega interests above all else. Many of our Constitution's checks and balances will no longer prevent abuse of power in a regime that rules by fear. What voters want no longer matters when a handful of billionaires can so easily buy a president. Think Elon Musk. In a majority of states, gerrymandering has voter-proofed the legislative districts, ensuring only far right candidates can be elected. Of course, in Wisconsin, that was reversed by 1 vote in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So what guardrails remain to save our democratic republic? Great question. What might constrain the worst impulses of Donald Trump and his mega loyalists? One guardrail is the small majority Republicans have in the House. This has caused a near inability for the House to function, much less govern in recent years. Another guardrail is the filibuster in the Senate, where Republicans will have at least 53 Senate votes, not the 60 votes needed to end debate. The filibuster is a delay tactic, but sometimes it succeeds in killing a bill. But both of these are soft guardrails. Trump may be able to overcome them. One other soft guardrail that has potential to be effective: Trump's narcissistic personality disorder. Trump craves to be loved and admired. It makes him obsessed with TV ratings. We saw that in The Apprentice, other places. Also, somebody's calling me. Also, survey findings and poll results. Trump will have no concern with winning election again. At least that's what we think. He will have no concern about the future of other Republicans in the Republican Party. But his need to be loved will potentially be the strongest guardrail to stop ideas that are unpopular with most Americans. But there's a catch. As Stacey Abrams of Georgia said after the election, it isn't enough to just resist a slide into authoritarianism. Abrams said, quote, "We must insist on a government and leaders that respect us and our needs. We must insist on fighting for our rights, even if we think we're going to lose, because the record will show that we tried, unquote. The reality is that you and me, we are the guardrails. But here's the key. Only if we insist. Gives me hope heading into the holiday a little bit, right? Believe in ourselves, each other, our friends and neighbors. Again, I can't tell you, look you in the eye, and say everything's going to be okay. I don't know that. I trust in people that I do know, our friends and neighbors. If we insist together that we're going to stay together, support one another, one of the things I believe in. We'll wrap it up shortly. When we come back, still waiting word from President Joe Biden. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
.7 WMDX.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
The Dom Salvia Show.
Harvey Kaye, Professor Emeritus of Democracy at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Harvey, I know you're the big FDR expert.
In 1934, he decided that the inequality and the wealth accumulated at the top was a threat.
On Friday,
not only to the
Jess
American
and I are
economy, but also to
co-hosting the Dom
American
Salvia Show.
democratic
Are you
spirit, American
really?
democratic
Yes.
life. The way he got
Sounds
our-
Really?
like history's
Yeah.
repeating
Well, we should talk
itself.
about
The
that.
Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
James Rundy.
I decided to throw off all my wild and crazy short film ways and make a straight up documentary about my uncle. He was one of the small time dairy farmers across the state that were kind of the backbone and why we got our state's name, America's Dairyland.
It was called The Last Milk. Have you ever milked a cow?
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious, but I'm scared to do it because I'm worried I might like it. All right.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8
Peter.
on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
It's easy to listen to your favorite.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 9 before the hour of 2 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which station you are listening to across the great state of Wisconsin, from Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, Green Bay, the Mississippi River, and all points in between. Wherever you travel around Wisconsin, likelihood is you can get Civic Media stations across over the air, and you can always get us on the Civic Media app. Then after national news, little sports, weather for Wisconsin, and then Maggie Dawn of the award-winning Maggie Dawn Show steps in from 2 until 4, followed by the Dom Salvia Show from 4 until 6. Our friend Pete Schwaba takes over with Nightlight from 6 until 8, Rick Smith Across America from 8 until 10, and then Robert Pilot with Native Roots Radio. Quick programming note. This just in. Zomers drops this on me just like as an aside, right before we come back on the air. Well, you know, Jess and I are co-hosting the Dom Salvia Show tomorrow.
No, on Friday.
Oh, on Friday, on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Now, I did not know this. This was not in the staff meeting. And
well, we were still working details out. But...
Still work. So this will be the first time that you are co-hosting an entire 2-hour show.
I guess so, yeah.
With your outstanding producer friend, our colleague Jess down in Waukesha. Well, now racing in Kenosha.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons as well as other things.
Really?
But the other day, after working on something, there was a show that she was producing, and the people were here in studio. So after that, she's like, "Hey, Aaron, do you like D&D?" And I was like, "What, are you inviting me to a game?" Because the answer is yes. So yeah, we're going to talk about that, about what it is, some misconceptions, and how fun it can be, and hopefully get some calls with listeners' stories of fun games they've played.
We'll tune into the Jess and Aaron Zomer show starting from 4 o'clock on Friday. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
It should be a fun time.
Yeah, no, it should be, as Ken Lewis likes to say, my former teacher, a good time had by all. A good time had by all. Well, congratulations. That's Friday. So you're working Black Friday now.
I guess so, at least for a few hours.
Well, I guess so. Are you coming all the way back here to do the show?
I'm not sure. I need to test my home internet, so I'm going to see if maybe my mom can join a call with me today and see how it is. Otherwise, I might have to come back here or drive down to Racine, or we'll see.
All right. Well, very good. We'll see. Speaking of we'll see, I mean, this happened to us all during the campaign, by the way. Joe Biden, not necessarily a great guy, I assume, not known for being timely. And so we'd have these, President Biden's going to do a campaign appearance at 1:30. And then we'd come on the air with the special report, and we'd sit here and we'd dance and tell jokes and vamp for 45 minutes.
And then in the next show, like after the Todd Allbaugh show, Maggie Dawn would get to it, and it still hasn't happened yet.
And so now the campaign is over, and now here we are with actual remarks from the President of the United States, Joe Biden. We were told, national media was reporting, that he would be in the Rose Garden at 1:30.
On a very important topic.
On a very important topic that the Israeli Security Council has approved, reportedly, a deal with the terrorist organization Hezbollah on a ceasefire in Lebanon. Big news. They say, big if true. But so far, the president has not, we're coming up on a half an hour from start time. So I'm sure glad we didn't play that special report music coming out of the break.
Me too. Instead, you got to talk about a very important message on how we treat each other and what we pay attention to during the holidays, whether or not we let ourselves get riled up.
There you go. So it may or may not may not happen in the next hour, and I'm not. Maggie Dawn might have information about it if it happens. So anyway, I just want to update you why we not brought you those remarks after we had told you that we would bring them to you, because they haven't happened yet. A little sad news from Hollywood. Jim Abrams, the writer, director, who with brothers Jerry and David Zucker turned the comedy genre on its ear with such zany efforts as Airplane, Police Squad, and the Naked Gun films. He died today, 80 years old.
Oh, I was going to say, I know those names.
Yeah, and some of my favorite movies. Abrams died of natural causes at his home in beautiful Santa Monica, his son Joseph told The Hollywood Reporter. The trio made their first mainstream impression by writing the sketch-filled Kentucky Fried Movie back in 1977, directed by John Landis. It is prelude to Animal House. And they also combined for Top Secret in 1984, starring a young Val Kilmer, and Ruthless People in 1986, featuring Bette Midler and Danny DeVito. Without his childhood buddies from Wisconsin, yes, they were from Wisconsin. That's a hitherto unknown fact. Jerry and David Zucker, of course, from Wisconsin. Abrams directed Big Business, or as we say back in Richland Center, Big Business. No, we don't really. I just like to say that. Big Business back in 1988, starring Midler and Lily Tomlin, and co-wrote and helmed Hot Shots. I remember that movie, 1981. And the 1983 sequel, both starring Charlie Sheen, way before Charlie became off the rails crazy. But yeah, I mean, just some of those movies, Top Gun. I mean, the big one that really put the Zucker brothers on the map was Airplane.
Yeah, for sure.
And they were partially, I think, responsible for, the original face and crown and arm of the Statue of Liberty being put on Lake Monona here at the UW campus back, I think, in 80s.
That I did not know.
Really? Yeah, that was their. I believe somebody will correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I believe the Zucker brothers had a hand in that. So, Jerry Abrams, thanks for everything you've done for us. Jerry Abrams passing away today at the age of 80. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next. Thank you to Luke Mathers for joining us today, Mr. Aaron Zommers as well. We'll have Tringley Olsen and Pat Kreitlow mañana. Until then, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging on your drum. See you tomorrow.
Keep banging on your drum. Keep banging on, and your day will come. Keep banging on your drum, and they will hear you.
Quick movie review for those of you on the stream.
Yes.
Speaking of Charlie Sheen, that reminded me, have you ever seen Charlie Sheen's movie 9/11?
I have not.
Don't. It's the worst movie I've ever seen.
Is it recent?
I'm going to look up when it's from. I am a lover of terrible movies. This is not a good bad movie. It's just awful. It was miserable. It's a movie about 9/11, takes place entirely within an elevator, except for Whoopi Goldberg is in a different room. And clearly they just shot the scenes with her at some other time and shoehorned it in. Like, it's
that bad.
It is the worst movie I've ever seen.
All right. Don't see 9/11 with Charlie Sheen. Have you seen Wicked yet?
No. 2017 is when 9/11 by Charlie Sheen came
2017.
out.
That's been a while.
Yeah. Don't get curious. As someone who loves terrible movies, I was like, this is going to be a good time. It wasn't.
All right. There's your random movie tip for the day. All right. See you tomorrow, buddy.
Adios.
Bye-bye.